welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. So I'm participating in a Happy Holidays video hop, which basically means that if you're watching this video and you haven't seen any other ones, click in the description box below and it'll give you a link to the next person in the hop. And it's basically like a long trail of holiday crafts. So definitely check that out. There's also a link to the tailor-made cards for you blog post, which has links to all of the creators that are included in the video hop. And every video in the hop may have a giveaway, so make sure that you're watching those for more information on those. For my channel and for this video, I am giving away a kit to knit the little holiday wreath ornaments that I'm going to be showing you guys today, and I'll show you guys some close-ups. I did a couple little sample ones to show you in different colors, but I will be giving away a full kit on that'll allow you to make at least 4 of these. So definitely make sure to leave a comment in the description, or leave a comment in the comments section. I don't think you can comment on the description, but anyway, the video hop starts today, which is Saturday, November 30th, and goes through next Saturday, December 7th. So make sure you check out all those videos before the deadline on the 7th, and make sure to leave a comment down below my video to be entered for a chance to win the kit to be able to knit some of these adorable little wreath ornaments. Big shout out also to Pennywise Knitting, who is allowing me to use her pattern for this video. These wreaths are so easy to make and they're so stinking cute, and you can do them in like any color. I had a hard time picking the ones that I was gonna make for the video tutorial. So it's definitely a really easy pattern. If you don't know how to knit, or if you are just beginning to learn how to knit, you can still make these. Trust me, they're super, super easy. They knit up so fast. I literally knit 4 of these while watching my husband play video games last night. So like, you can do it, and they're fast and they're so cute. They're great gifts. Wreath ornaments, decor, gift tags, you can use them for pretty much anything you want. You could also use them for like placeholders or like name tags for your Christmas dinner. So awesome things happening. In order to knit your own little wreath ornaments, there's a couple things that you're gonna need. The pattern calls for worsted weight yarn, or yarn weight 4. And if you aren't familiar with yarn weights, it's pretty simple. You can definitely check out my video on choosing the right yarn for your project. I'll leave a link in the upper right hand corner to whisk you over to that to get a little more information if you need it. Otherwise, you just need worsted weight, size 4 yarn, and you don't need a ton of it. I mean, I knit most of these using very minimal yarn. I would say maybe 20-25 yards, if that. So any scraps you find. I have a friend, Ellie, shout out Ellie, holla girl. She goes to like thrift stores and things like that and picks up a bunch of like, not secondhand yarn, but like yarn discards, if you will. And this would be a great project to use up scraps from that, because the texture of the yarn really doesn't matter. You're not wearing it. So any yarn that you come across would work for this. So the pattern calls for worsted weight 4 yarn and size 6 knitting needles. I will say this, you do need double pointed needles or a circular needle. DPNs I found the easiest to make these on because they're shorter than most circular needles, but you will definitely need something other than a straight needle. Pretty much all you need. You also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle, and then some sort of measuring device. If you follow me at all and you have your notions box, you should have everything that you're gonna need. If you haven't seen my video on my notions box, I'll put a link in the upper right hand corner so you can check that out. Basically anything that you're gonna need for pretty much any project you ever knit. So it's always nice to have that kind of close by. But other than that, you should be ready to go. All right, here are some of the little samples that I made. These 2 on the side are in DK weight, and they were knit with the same size needles. These were both knit with size 5. The difference is that on the white and blue one, I knit the eye cords a little bit longer than in the green one, and that's literally all the adjustment you have to do to get different sizes. And then the two on the left side are worsted weight. The only difference again was the needle size that I used, and these ones I had some funkier yarns. So this one used a yarn with kind of like a twill or like a twisted blue in it, which I thought was kind of different, so I made one like that. And then the green one, I actually used a variegated yarn, so it changes colors throughout, which I thought was kind of fun. And the other two are pretty self-explanatory. There's no fancy yarns on these ones, but they're so simple. And again, you can adjust them to make them any size that you want, so they're very easy to customize. So let's go ahead and get started with the cast on. And with this project, again, you're going to need double pointed needles. I have my size 5 needles here. I'll be demonstrating with a DK weight yarn. And the first thing we're going to need to do is cast on 3 stitches. And I am going to go ahead and use my long tail cast on. I prefer to not use a knot for my long tail cast on. So I'm just going to go ahead and loop the yarn over, give yourself a little bit of a tail so you have enough room. And I'm going to go ahead and get my slingshot ready. And I'll put a link here to a slower demonstration of my long tail cast on, but it's only 3 stitches, so you most likely will be able to figure it out pretty quickly. Okay. And for this pattern, we're going to be knitting what they call eye cord. So it's only 3 stitches. And what we're going to do is we're going to knit those 3 stitches. And then once we get to the end of the row, instead of turning our work, we're just going to slide it back to the other end and knit it again, which creates a cord look to it, which will end up looking like this. So it actually makes like a really tiny tube of knitting. It's a little hard to see in the cranberry color, but you'll see once we get going here. Oh, there's my green sample. Here we go. So I already knit 3 of the greens because that's what we're going to need to make the wreath portion. So you can see this is what we're going to be making. And we're going to make 3 of them, and we want them all to be the same length. So we're going to go ahead and cast on our 3 stitches. And I'm going to push everything to the end of the needle. And we're just working in knit stitches here, so I'm going to go ahead and put my needle in from front to back and wrap the needle around, or wrap the yarn around the back needle, pull it through, and slide it off. Again, and to the front, wrap it, pull it in. And that's all it is. And then I like to tug on the bottom. It just kind of pulls out that little end. And so in normal knitting, when you get to the end of a row, you turn your work and then you go back the other direction. For eye cord knitting, we're not going to turn our work. We're going to slide it back to the other end, and we're going to start knitting with that first stitch again. And basically what that'll do is the yarn right now is coming from the last stitch on the needle. So when we knit this stitch again, it's going to pull this stitch closer to this one, which makes it into like a really tiny little tube or a little cord, which is why it's called eye cord. So again, we're going to go in through the front, wrap it and pull it through. Just a basic knit stitch. Nothing super fancy. And then again, at the end, I like to tug on the end, and you can see how it's making this kind of like little nub, but it's completely reversible. On both sides, it still looks like little knit stitches. So once I get to the end, I'm going to slide it back to the other end of my needle and start with that first stitch again. Tug on the bottom, and you can see as we go, we're getting this little tiny cord here. Okay. And we're going to continue in this. The pattern says for 6 to 8 inches. Again, it really depends on how big you want your wreath to be. So my smallest wreath is about 6 inches, but again, it's on DK weight yarn. So use your best judgment. You can always take your cord and kind of make a circle with it and be like, that's about how big it will be, give or take. Once we braid everything together, it might be a little bit smaller, but you can kind of figure that out. But the most important thing is that they're all the same size, because if you knit one that's super long, when you go to make it into a circle, they're not going to line up. So you're going to continue in this manner. You're going to make 3 of your base color, your wreath color, and then you're going to make 1 of your contrasting color or your bow color, and that's going to be the same length as all the other ones. So everything is the same length. So you can just see how that's kind of working up here. And then if I flip it over, it looks exactly the same all the way around, which is what's so cool about I-cord. So that's all the knitting that you're going to really need to do. And when you get to the very end of it, so I have my red ribbon. So I knit all my little samples and then realized I didn't have any red. So I was like, oh, for the video, I have to have a red one. So that I have this like cranberry color. So when you get to the very end, so this one I've already knit how long I need it to be. To finish it, I'm gonna go ahead and get my notions pouch here. And I'm gonna need my scissors. And there it is. My tapestry needle, and I have my little tape measure in here as well, which I've been using to measure and make sure everything's the right size. So I've got my tapestry needle and my scissors. So on the red one, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the yarn, leave a little bit of a tail. I'm going to go ahead and thread my tapestry needle. It's a funny word. There we go. And for those of you who don't know what a tapestry needle is, it's literally just like a sewing needle. It's just got a bigger eye so that it fits the yarn. Okay, so our yarn is coming out of our last stitch. So it's coming out of this stitch over here. You can see it right there. And we're going to go ahead and insert our needle into the stitches, just like we've been doing the whole time for the I-cord. So we're going to start with the first stitch, and then the second stitch, and then the third stitch, and we can put our needle down, and then we're just going to go ahead and pull the yarn through, and it'll literally make a beautiful end for you. You don't have to do anything fancy for it at all. And that's what you're going to do for all of the cords. So again, you should have 1 for your bow, and then 3 for your wreath. So now we're going to go ahead and start assembling. And the assembling, I would say, is the hardest but most rewarding part. It can be frustrating when you can't get things to cooperate with you, but it's also the most exciting part because all the quote-unquote hard work is done, because all the knitting is completed. So now you just have to go ahead and get everything together. So I'm going to take my 3 wreath cords, which are here, and I'm going to take the 3 tails, and you should have tails at either end, so it really doesn't matter which end you pick. And I'm going to go ahead and just knot them on the end, and I'm going to knot them as close to the top of the cords as I can. Just going to kind of mess with it here a little bit. There we go. Okay, so my 3 cords are knotted together now. And to make this kind of like wreath texture, we're actually going to braid the 3 cords together. It can be a little tricky if you are doing it one-handed, but you can pretty much do it without any assistance. If you need to borrow a friend to help, you definitely can. And the tighter you braid it, the tighter your wreath will be. The looser you do it, the looser the wreath will be, or it may have some holes. So I don't recommend braiding it too loosely because you don't want to have all these holes in your wreath. But once you get it braided, you can mess with it just a little bit, pulling things apart and things like that once you get everything braided together. So just a simple braid here. Okay. And I'm all the way at the end, and I did a really good job measuring on this one because look, all three of the ends are right together. And I'm gonna go ahead and take these 3 ends and the 3 ends that I already knotted together and tie them together. I'm not gonna knot the end of the braid because it'll just get kind of bulky having 3 knots on the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take those the 1 knot that I did at the beginning and make a 2nd knot with the tails that I have. And again, you don't want to have too much for a gap at the very top. So I've been holding everything pretty tightly. Okay. This is one little cute little wreath. And all these green tails, you can go ahead and trim them off. Don't trim them too tight, but when we put the bow on, we're gonna hide everything. So you can go ahead and snip those. Okay, and there's our little wreath. And I've seen some people, super cute, add little like beads or sequins or things like that to look like little ornaments around the wreath. So stinking cute. Absolutely do that if you are creative enough. I am not, so I can make a wreath, but it's about the extent of my my expertise there. So now we're gonna go ahead and make the bow. Before I make the bow, I am going to get a length of my bow color here. Not super long. I would say like maybe 24 inches, 18. Not tons of yarn because you're not going to need a lot, but just to tie everything together. Okay, and to make the bow, we're going to go ahead and make this kind of loop-de-loop shape. And then we're going to pinch it in the middle. And it's not gonna look like much, but once we fluff it out, you'll see it'll start to look like a little bow. And we'll be able to adjust the lengths once we get it tied on as well. So don't worry too much about getting the length just right. We will be able to adjust it a little bit as we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that pinched and put it right on the top where I knotted my 2 other pieces together. Excuse me. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take my contrasting yarn that I just cut. Go ahead and loop it around. I apologize, it's probably hard to see, but I have to kind of hold everything pretty tight to keep everything from undoing. And I'm just gonna go ahead and knot it at the very top. And then we're gonna wrap the yarn around to make it look a little more presentable, but this will keep everything tidy while we're getting to that point. Okay. Already you can see it's starting to look like a little bow. And don't worry too much about this little tail. As we wrap, we'll be able to hide that. And the little ends on the ribbon ends, we will weave those all in too. Okay, and now we're gonna wrap around the center using this extra scrap yarn. Just going in and out. And this is more decorative than it is structural, so don't worry too much that your whole thing is gonna like fall apart if you don't wrap it just perfect. I promise it shouldn't. If you've knotted everything where I've told you to, you should be pretty safe. And you don't have to wrap it a ton. I have you leave an extra length just so that you have it, but you can see already everything's looking pretty good. So once I've wrapped as much as I want to, and the little tail that we have, I can trim these little stragglers at the end. So once you've wrapped as much as you need to, you're gonna end with the yarn on the back. So you'll obviously have a back because you have the bow in the front. I'm gonna go ahead and thread your tapestry needle again. And I want the yarn kind of coming from the top so that the yarn is technically in the front, but I'm going through the back. So I'm just gonna run it underneath these wraps on the back to secure it. Whoop. I wrapped it around part of my bow. I don't want that. Come here, you. Oh, no, it is doing the right thing. No, it's not. See, it's wrapped around the front here, which I don't want. So I was right. Neat. There we go. Okay. So I just thread the yarn through these back wraps, and my yarn's coming out of this side now. And then to make the hanging loop, I'm gonna go ahead and put the needle back through the opposite side and almost to the end, but not quite. So that it's not coming out of the exact same place as the other one. Okay, and you can kind of flip it over and see, okay, that's maybe a little bit long for such a small ornament, so I would say probably about an inch. Looks pretty good. Okay. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and tie a knot. It's a little tricky when you only have technically like one piece of yarn, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. You just want to kind of secure it. Make sure you keep your loop out so that anything that's knotting is knotting at the very bottom. Okay. And then for my last little piece, I'm gonna just run this yarn back through to the other side. So my hanging loop is secured, and I'm gonna trim the end. Make sure, please, make sure you trim the end that is not your hanging loop, or you will be very, very sad. And then I can trim these little wispies here as well. Again, please don't trim your ornament, only trim the pieces you don't need. All right, we're almost done. So I've got my wreath completed. Oh, I'm gonna trim this little green guy here too. Give my wreath a little haircut. Doop. Okay, so if you wanted to adjust the size of your bow, you can actually just pull on the loops, just like when you tie a bow in your shoelace, and it'll adjust itself. So you can go ahead and do that. Please make sure that you don't pull them too hard, because if you pull one out, you're not going to be able to put it back through, and that'll kind of ruin that. And then for these little tails on the ends of our ribbon, go ahead and thread our tapestry needle. And for these, I just kind of run my needle almost through the center of the cord. It's a little tricky because it's so small, but I just kind of bury it a little bit. Just run it through. Trim it close, and then just kind of give it a little tug, and then it's totally gone. And do the same on the other side. I can't wait to see what kind of variations you guys make. I had so much fun picking out the colors for this. I literally used all scraps. I didn't use any brand new yarn that I had. It's all stuff from projects that I've done previously. So it was a great little stash buster, and I love how some of them came out with the little like snow colors, with the white and the icy blue, and the like mixed green. It gave it like such a cute little woodsy vibe. You really can do anything with these. They're so easy to personalize. And there we have it. It's done. We have the cutest little wreath ornament you've ever seen. and you can hang it on packages for gifts. You can hang it on your tree, give them out in the office, literally anything you can think of. They're so much fun. I hope you guys really enjoy them. I can't wait to see what colors you make. And don't forget to leave a comment in the description. Oh, why do I want you to put a comment in the description? Make no sense. Make sure to leave a comment down below of what colors you'll be using before December 7th for a chance to enter the giveaway, where I'll be giving away a full set of needles and yarn and everything you need to make some of your own ornaments. All right, so easy, right? I told you could make these, and you'll be making them for like days on end, and you'll have like a billion to give away, which would be awesome. They're great for office gifts too. People in your office, they don't take a ton of time. They're not really expensive to make, but they're so cute and darling. Everybody will love them. So again, reminder for the Happy Holidays video hop, check the description box below for the link for the next video in the hop, and also check out the blog for tailor-made cards for you to see all of the information for all the creators that are included in the video hop, and make sure to watch all the videos to see what kind of giveaways are going on. Everything ends on Saturday, December 7th, 2019, so make sure that you get through all the videos by then. And to Pennywise Knitting, thank you so much for letting me use your pattern. It's been so much fun to make, so definitely check out her blog if you are interested in other knitting projects as well. So thank you all again. I hope you subscribe and like this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you're based in the US for a chance to win a complete kit to knit some of these yourself. And I hope to see you all soon.